What prompted you to run for a seat on the city council?
I think for me it was just the time. The timing was right. I have worked very hard in the community to make and bring change to this community in different facets and different aspects. And so uh, I just felt like this was the time. We really needed to see a difference. A lot of people had asked me and suggested that I run. Um, and after prayer and much thought and deliberations, I said, you know what, I do think it's time. And so it's just time to see some differences, some things that look different, some things that is different.
What qualities, experience, skills do you possess that would make you a good representative of the citizens of Sioux City?
Absolutely. First of all, my leadership background, my leadership training. I work with companies and teaching leadership. I also work with conflict resolution, communication, helping build those skills and that knowledge and those abilities up. And so that's what I bring to the table. Also, I believe that my experience in understanding people. I've worked with a lot of people across the board, across the spectrum, and I've learned how to build relationships with that. And so that's what I bring to the table. I think, unlike anybody we've ever had run before or elected, I bring a level of togetherness and unity uh, to that position, and can and will bring that.
What sets you apart from the other candidates?
I have a lot of respect for, especially Dan Moore and Alex Waters. I don't really know Mr. O'Kane well, but I've worked with Alex, I've worked with Dan on numerous occasions, and have a lot of respect for them. I think what makes us different is sometimes in how we may go about doing some things, the things that we may understand. I bring a different background. I come from a big city. I come from understanding big city and how things work in that city, but I also come from a diverse background. And so what we don't see right now is that diversity. And so I bring a level of experience and diversity that will be able to connect with people from socioeconomic differences to race, sex, to whatever it may be. And so that's one of the biggest differences that I believe between me and the other three candidates.
What specific concerns or criticisms do you have of the current council? Are there any specific votes that you have disagreed with that come to mind?
Uh, you know, this is the thing. I don't so much have any disagreements because here's the thing. I think sometimes when we sit on the outside and we sit on the sidelines, we think we know what's best and what should be. And then until we get into the mix and we step and get into the pool, we don't know really how hot the water is. And then once we jump in, we're like, oh, well, I didn't realize it was that. And so I don't have criticisms because I don't always know what all the situations and what all the details are. What I will say is that far too often, politicians tend to do it their way and not always listen to everybody and listen to the different opinions and thoughts. And so that's what I want to bring to the council is someone who listens to the greater good and listens to the community as a whole. We may not make changes and do things for everybody, but if I can sit and listen to the community and really get a true feel and understand what the greater good is for. It's not Ike's decision, but it's what's going to be best for the people. And so, I will say that, one of the biggest debates, the fireworks ban. I've had the opportunity to sit down and talk to people about fireworks, and I don't know what the right decision is at this point. But I want to continue to talk to people on both sides of that situation. And And whatever, seems to be the best for the greater good of people, that's the decision that I'll make, and that's the vote that I'll go with.
If elected, what will your top priorities be?
If I'm elected, first and foremost, I want to continue the work I've done with public safety. I've built a relationship with law enforcement. I've I'm currently serving on the Iowa Law Enforcement Task Force, and we're working on some things to really get Iowa on one page. I want to continue working in that. I want to work on economic development. I truly believe that we can do some things in this city that can help keep some of our talent, some of our kids. When you think about, we have two schools, two major colleges in terms of, when I say major, Briarcliff as well as Morningside. But we also have community colleges, Western Iowa Tech as well as Northeast, who's on the other side of the river. But that means we're graduating students. But the question is, where do they go when they graduate? Why aren't they staying in Sioux City? And so one of the issues that I think as a whole Iowa has, but Sioux City in particular, is a population issue. We have jobs. We don't have the workforce to be able to do those jobs. And so I want to try to work on some things to, continue to keep people here, but bring high-paying jobs here. And so I will look real closely at the Economic Development Department and see if there's things that we can do to just be a more competitive place to be, especially when you think of Omaha and Sioux Falls. How do we compete with those places and keep our people here in Sioux City and Siouxland?
What are your views on the current property tax situation, and what would you do to reduce the burden on local taxpayers?
You know what? Once again, great question. I've had a lot of people say, "Hey, I want you to bring my taxes down." One thing I think we need to make sure that we understand. Here's the thing. When we think about local, what the local situation is, some things when it comes to taxes is not in our control. It's in the state's control. And so, we can't do much about that anyway. But if there are things within our control, property taxes, property valuations, how do we, fix those? How do we make sure that properties are valuated the right way so that, because the thing of it is that when we think of our taxes and our property values, our taxes are fairly low. They're not too high, but the problem is people say that they keep going up. Well, it's really not the taxes, it's the valuations. So, when you stop and think about the fact that people say, well, I want my valuations to be high when I'm trying to sell, but then when it comes to my tax burden, I want my valuations to be low. And so we've got to find that middle ground. And that's where it comes to us sitting down, doing the homework, doing the research, understanding what happens. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we still have the taxes that we pay as individuals and residents and citizens of Sioux City. We've got to make sure, we can still pay for those services that we need. Fire, police, school, those things that affect our livelihoods. And so we've got to, sometimes make a hard decision, but I have no intentions of pushing to raise taxes. But I do want to make sure that we have the things that we need as a society and do what we need to do.
Now, Mayor Bob Scott has said that he is ready to vote on a fireworks ban. Now, you mentioned fireworks, so you haven't formed an opinion on that issue yet?
You know what? I have an opinion, but I want to hear more from the people. Because one thing that I do understand is that when I was a kid, I loved firing fireworks. I loved popping them. I loved lighting them, having fun. As I've become older, the noise isn't what I want to do. I don't go out and do it. But because I don't do it, should I take that away from families and kids who want to do it? Do I believe that there is a middle ground that we can come to? Absolutely. Do I believe that they should just be outright banned? I'm not so sure that I believe that at this point. But I am willing to talk to those who who sit on both sides of it and hear their arguments and then make an informed decision at that time.
Sioux City's population is growing and becoming more diverse based on recently released census data. How inclusive do you think Sioux City is, and do you think there are any improvements that can be made to make it more welcoming? If so, what?
You know what? I think we're doing the right things. We're headed in the right direction, and I can say that because I was very instrumental in working on the Inclusive Sioux City committee that we created this past year, and so I'm very happy to see that that's up and thriving. Like I said, I was very instrumental in working on that, putting that committee together, along with the city manager and members of the city council, and so I think we're headed in the right direction. Um, that's another reason why I want to run, because I want, when we think about the fact that we are a more diverse community, I want someone who looks like and who understands what those individuals see and understand. I want them to have that representation, to have a voice. I've had so many people say that they're happy and excited that I am running, and so I do want to make sure that we continue heading in that direction with diversity and DEI initiatives as we see them.
Riverfront development is underway, but there hasn't been a final decision on what the iconic feature will be. Different ideas have been floated, including a pedestrian bridge that would cost millions of dollars. What's your view on Riverfront development? What would you like to see as the iconic feature?
You know, I love to see the work that's happening. I'm thrilled to see that it's coming. I know like everyone else, is excited about what's happening. You know, I don't know if we need to have just this huge iconic thing. You know, we've heard Ferris wheels and we've heard pedestrian bridges. You know, I think we need to, you know, just take a step back and look at. Now, obviously, this goes to what I was saying about sometimes we don't always know what those issues are or what the costs are. We hear things, we watch the news, we get the reportings, but until you're in the room where you truly understand what it means to build this bridge and what it means to build this iconic feature, you know, it's hard to really say what it should be and shouldn't be. Right now, I do like what's happening and what's going on. And you know what? We have a lot of things in Sioux City right now. We got the art center that's got things around it, you know, what people call it the Fries. We got the Sergeant Floyd Monument. So we got those things that already recognize it and Sioux City is recognized. So do we need to add something else? Or can those funds be used to highlight some other things? I don't know what those things are at this point, but my goal is to get in there and make the best decision based on the information at that time.
Mayor Bob Scott, before voting against a total contribution of $200,000 to the city regional convention visitors bureau, said he didn't want to bind next year's council with a $100,000 contribution. What are your views on the bureau? And if you were on the council, would you have voted for the funding?
You know what? Once again, I realize that tourism is a very important aspect of what we do here in Sioux City. We want to bring visitors. We want to have conferences, seminars, and workshops, and concerts, and all of those things that can bring revenue to the city. We're very happy to have the NAIA that comes. You know, it drives revenue for our city during those few weeks. And so I think we have to be smart about when we make those kind of investments. We have to remember that when we make an investment, there is a return. I am so thrilled with what Downtown Partners is doing with our downtown. You know, our wayfaring is wonderful. We see some, you know, it makes no sense for us to do that just for us, for the residents. You know, that's for those people who are visiting. You know, we've made investments so that we are an attractive, a main attraction to Iowa. You know, we are the border. So I believe investments, we have to make those investments. Again, you know, without knowing all the details, you know, I don't want to step out too far with that, but I definitely would say, you know, on its surface, I think we have to make those investments in our convention visitors bureau.
Concerns about the treatment of Sioux City's homeless population have been raised. How would you address homelessness in the city?
It's a great question, and I think we all see it. We all see the homelessness. I was just commenting to someone the other day that we see, people on the streets and holding signs and stuff like that. We've got to do something about it. We do need to hear people out, understand. We need to go deeper into what is really going on, why, it's happening. I'm glad that our homeless population isn't, like we see on TV at Skid Row and those places. However, can we do something? Can we help? Just recently, the county received money for COVID relief. Is there an opportunity to take some of that money and apply it to the homeless situation? I know that, there was a discussion and debate about the money being put into the jail and the new jail, especially with this overages. But, can that, because we know that COVID has created some issues with homelessness. And so, it comes down to money. Ultimately, it comes down to money, but we have to care about our citizens, and we have to care about each and every last one of them. And so my hope is that, again, we can have a true conversation, understand the depths of what homelessness is, if there are opportunities for us to help with some things, especially as a city. Are there funds, are there opportunities for us to invest in some type of homeless camp or shelters where people have those opportunities, or getting them into homes? We should explore it. And I'm willing to explore that.
Are there any specific issues that you think the city should seek support from the state on?
Right now, I can't say specifically, other than making sure, we want to make sure that our taxes, remain relatively low, remain steady where they are. We don't want to see an increase in those. And if there are opportunities with the arts, we want to look at those things. We want to look at every opportunity that's possible for us to have, help and a shot of energy from the state.
There is a demand for affordable housing. How would you define affordable housing for single families and renters, and how would you achieve that?
Well, we know affordable housing is obviously when people can afford it. Right now, I think before we can really look at the affordable housing fact, we've got to look at affordable wage. We've got to look at, I know there's been calls for an increase in minimum wage, and at the current level of minimum wage, affordable housing would mean that, someone couldn't even build a house at that level. And so I think it's important that we look at every area and how things affect each thing, because sometimes what happens is we try to fix one thing, but because this isn't happening, it affects us in a negative way. And so we've built a lot of homes. There's been a lot of building over the last 15, 20 years, and I'm sure there's going to continue to be. Are they affordable? Are they affordable because of the wages that people make? If we don't have higher paying jobs, if we don't have higher waging jobs, then affordable housing, it's kind of a moot point. For me, I want to take a look at economic development and bringing in companies that pay higher wages. Is there a possibility that we can ensure that people are making a livable wage? Are those opportunities there? Because if we have people who are making a livable wage, then they can afford some of the homes and the houses and the apartments that have already been built. And so we have to look at the whole picture.